Samsung makes some of the best tablets on the planet, and somehow that's exactly why this opinion hits even harder. Because after years of using Samsung devices, one tech writer says he absolutely loves his Galaxy Tab S11, but still can't force himself to use a Galaxy phone full time. And the reason isn't performance, software, or battery life. It's the camera. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It really helps me keep bringing you more tech breakdowns like this one. That's a pretty bold statement in 2026, especially when Samsung's Galaxy S Ultra phones are supposed to be among the most advanced smartphones money can buy. Massive sensors, crazy zoom, AI processing, 200 megapixel cameras. On paper, these phones sound unbeatable. But real-life use tells a very different story. The article comes from Peter Kostadinov, a senior reviews writer who spends his time switching between phones constantly. But despite testing all kinds of devices, one thing has remained consistent in his home setup: the Galaxy Tab S11. According to him, it's basically the perfect entertainment device. AMOLED screen, excellent quad speakers, compact enough to hold comfortably, and One UI works beautifully on a larger display. And honestly, that makes complete sense. Samsung tablets have quietly become some of the best multimedia devices out there. Watching movies, gaming casually, browsing, even reading, Samsung absolutely nails that experience. The hardware feels premium, the displays are top tier, and the software has matured a lot over the years. But then comes the surprising part. Even though he loves Samsung tablets, he says he can't trust Samsung phones anymore when it comes to photography. Not because the cameras are technically weak, but because they struggle in one specific area that matters a lot in everyday life: capturing motion indoors. And once you hear the explanation, it's actually hard to unsee. Samsung phones, especially the Galaxy S Ultra series, tend to use slower shutter speeds in lower lighting conditions. The goal is simple: allow more light into the sensor for brighter images. Great for landscapes, great for still subjects, great for those dramatic night shots Samsung loves showing in advertisements, but terrible if your subject won't stay still. And that's the real issue here. Peter says that after becoming a father, most of his camera roll is filled with pictures of his kids. Kids moving around indoors, playing, running, laughing, and that's exactly where Samsung phones apparently struggle the most. Instead of freezing the moment cleanly, the slower shutter speed can introduce blur, softness, noise, and weird processing artifacts. So even though the image may look bright, the actual subject can end up looking messy or unclear. This is one of those things that spec sheets never really tell you, because camera quality isn't just about megapixels anymore. It's about reliability. Can you quickly pull out your phone, take the shot, and trust that it'll look good every single time? For him, Samsung still isn't there. What's even more frustrating is that Samsung knows about the issue. The Galaxy S26 Ultra introduced settings through the Camera Assistant module that let users force faster shutter speeds. Sounds promising, right? Except, according to the article, it doesn't fully solve the problem. He tested limiting the shutter speed to never go below 1/120th of a second, which should help freeze motion better. But the trade-off was grainier images and underexposed shots. So basically, fixing one problem created another. And honestly, that's probably the most disappointing part of the entire story. Because outside of the camera complaints, he actually loves almost everything else about Samsung phones. He praises the hardware, he likes One UI, he appreciates the features and overall value. In his words, Galaxy phones have all the ingredients to be all-time great smartphones, but the camera inconsistency keeps holding them back. That's why his Samsung usage at home has shifted toward devices where photography doesn't matter as much, like tablets. So what phone is he actually using every day instead? Surprisingly, it's the Oppo Find X9 Pro. And apparently, that phone solves almost all the issues he has with Samsung. He describes the camera system as exceptional for his use case, especially when taking portraits and photos of his kids. He even says the results are 10 out of 10. That says a lot. The Oppo also delivers excellent battery life, reportedly lasting multiple days depending on usage, which is becoming a huge priority for people tired of charging flagship phones every night. Of course, it's not perfect. He criticizes ColorOS for feeling too much like an iPhone clone, and he says the speaker quality is disappointing. But even with those flaws, he still prefers it over Samsung because the camera matters to him more than anything else. And honestly, this article highlights something bigger happening in smartphones right now. We've reached a point where flagship phones are all extremely powerful. Performance differences barely matter anymore for most people. Displays are amazing everywhere, batteries are decent across the board, but cameras? Cameras are emotional. People don't care about benchmark numbers when they're trying to capture a moment that won't happen again. A blurry photo of your kid, your pet, or your family isn't just a technical issue, it's a missed memory. And that's why even a technically impressive phone can still feel wrong for someone's daily life. Samsung clearly dominates in areas like displays, tablets, multitasking, and ecosystem features. But this article shows that sometimes one weak point, even a very specific one, can completely change how people feel about a product. Because at the end of the day, the best smartphone camera isn't the one with the biggest sensor or highest megapixel count. It's the one you trust without thinking twice. What's your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments section. See you in the next video. Take care.